Welcome back, everybody. JumpX podcast, episode number 38. And today we're discussing why you can't jump your highest on any certain day. And, you might have to peak your vertical at a certain time. And, you'll see fluctuations of, 5-6 inches throughout the week.
Yeah, no, exactly. Tom and I were talking about this before we got on the podcast, and you were saying some insightful stuff, and I think that stuff you should definitely share with the audience right now and repeat.
100%. Because I feel like a lot of people get, a bit demotivated when they see their vertical jump go down. And it is, unfortunately, a part of the process. It's not linear. So your vertical, I'd argue, has to go down if it is to go up. And we've seen this with, our own clients, with other people just in the general dunk community. Like, they're not always jumping at 100%. And that can vary from, month to month. Yeah, you might have a good month, then a bad month, a good month, whatever. But it can even vary as little as from day to day. So, for example, Austin, if I went and told you, I want you to go test a 40 on, let's just say, Monday, the coming Monday. For reference, guys, it's Friday right now, and Austin's going to have like a 2-hour dunk session on Saturday. Do you think you could test 40 on Monday?
No way, no way,
What?
because my legs would be shot, my nervous system would be shot, and there's no way my body will fully recover from a jump session like that in even 48 hours. It's not
Mm-hmm.
enough time. Maybe if you're training for hypertrophy and you're very well conditioned to your training, 48 hours is enough time, but for jumping, not so much.
Okay, so now my next question is, what is your vertical jump?
Mine,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so on my best day, I would say definitely 40,
See, there
but
you go,
that's
though. What
that's
can you
there
say
on
about
my best
that?
day. Do I jump 40 all the time? No, definitely I don't jump 40 all the time. Do I jump 40 on every jump? No, I definitely don't jump 40 on every jump. It's on my best day, on my best jump, I jump 40 for sure. So
Yeah,
that's the
that's why
thing.
you and I are pretty clear. Like, when we're posting stuff on Instagram, we'll go, you know, on this jump, I jumped 42 inches or 43 inches. We don't say, every jump we're going to jump exactly like that or every session. And I think it's pretty unrealistic to expect yourself to jump the exact same week in, week out, day in, day out, unless you don't train and you do the same thing every week. You play pickup Monday, Wednesday, Friday, but you don't do any like strength training. You just do the exact same thing like that. Then yeah, your vertical on Monday, Wednesday, Friday is going to be a lot closer on the spectrum, whereas Austin and I can go like that because throughout the week where our fatigue is up, so our performance is going to be down, right?
Yeah. This is why I have my hardest strength session on the Monday and then we jump on the Saturday. So it's as far away as possible from the jump session. So then I can maximize my performance on the Saturday as well as much as possible. Not to say that like I'm not gonna like avoid training so it doesn't drop ever, but I just want to maximize it as much as I can in terms of how my nervous system recovers from that strength session on the Monday. So I always make my heaviest, hardest strength session if I'm doing that on the Monday for that reason.
Yeah,
And always
because you
keep
want
that
to
in
go.
mind for athletes too. So like even if I'm jumping twice a week, I'm still gonna have the same thing and have the expectation of my vertical being lower on the Wednesday and not jumping nearly as well as I would on the Saturday, you know? So like right now, like I'm only jumping once per week, right? But when I go to jump twice a week, like I'm not gonna have the expectations of jumping on a Wednesday like I do on a Saturday because of the fatigue and because of training, right?
Yeah, in a weird way, you kind of like mini peak for Saturdays, don't you?
Yeah, it's like a mini taper, yeah.
Yeah,
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 not
because
yeah.
like at your where you are in your vertical jump journey, you're pretty like, you're focused on one goal, and that's between the legs dunk. And if you were to, be fatigued as fuck on Saturday, yeah, you could maybe have like two mid sessions a week, like a medium session on Wednesday, medium session on Saturday. But if you actually want to go hit your dunk, you have to be jumping at your highest. So you're gonna
The
have
other
to do
thing,
it.
yeah,
Yeah.
The other thing is too, if you're really messed up and your central nervous system is really messed up, that can actually affect hand coordination as well.
Yeah, you've noticed that before, haven't you? Like, yeah, run us through like what you experienced when you tried to low room and your CNS was like cooked.
Yeah, no, I just wasn't coordinating movements as well as efficiently, and my hand speed wasn't as fast too. So that's another thing. So like, not only will your vertical jump be lower, your hand speed will probably be affected as well too, and like things just won't feel as crisp, and you won't feel as like sharp as well.
Yeah, how were you just like fumbling, or was it finishing the actual
Well, it's
dunk
not
on the
fumbling.
roof?
It's just like I noticed that things just aren't running as smoothly as they would if I'm fresh. When I'm fresh, things just run much more smoothly. It feel much more effortless. You know, you almost feel superhuman, right?
Yeah.
And then it's kind of like very often people get caught up in, oh, this is my level now. And then when they have a good day, this is my level, this is my standard. And then they get caught up in the fact that,
Mm,
that's their level, that's their standard. And they don't have that expectation in their head that that's like not reality. That's your best day. And they don't have that expectation that your standard will drop probably the next session as soon as you start training normal again. And then they get all depressed and stuff like that again, you know? Whereas that's just very normal, and that's just what's meant to happen, and just embrace the good days when you have them, and embrace the bad days when you have the bad days as well. And there's always something you can work on too. Like if you're hitting the same dunks when you're not jumping as high as you are on your good days, then that's awesome, And that's where it's important. Don't compare your bad days to your good days. Compare your bad days to your bad days like 6 months ago, a year ago, you know or compare your good days to good days 6 months to a year ago. You know, that's how you kind of should be looking at things. You know, and that's the expectations you need to have too when you're like going down this journey as well.
no, I agree.
Hmm. Hmm. And
100%.
when you're first starting out, it can be hard because like the for me, like I remember saying to Tom like um literally oh, I can't wait to be able to windmill on my bad days. You know,
And
like
guess what?
there was a point where like I could only windmill on my best day ever, you know, and then now
When
it's a
you hit
point
your
where
first windmill,
huh?
when you hit your first windmill, how long did it take to hit the one after it?
Oh, it was like 3 4 months.
Mm.
Yeah. Until I hit it again, and then I had a day where it hit like heaps, and then it just slowly gets to the point where I could just hit it almost any day I want. Now, maybe like on the days I jump out, it doesn't look as good, but at the end of the day, I still hit it. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely, definitely. And it's like it's not a video game at the end of the day. Like you're not a video game character. It's not like, okay, I've reached level between the legs. I'm now here any day of the week, any time of day. No warm up or anything like that. Like your video game character does not, unfortunately, keep his attributes day to day. Yeah, you've done it, but it's not gonna be the exact same every time.
Exactly, exactly. That's what like with you as well. Um, like I would say you consistently jump 48, whether you would say that or not. I would say like without a doubt, you consistently jump that. Even if you're like really fatigued and jumping 3 inches lower, that's a lot. You're still jumping 45. And you can still pretty much hit all your dunks with that vert as well. All right. So that's where the higher you get your vert, the
Yeah,
higher like the drop off in terms of the inches is not as noticeable, is not as drastic as well. And that's the cool thing about, training for a long time and putting the work in and getting a vert to a really high place is when you do have that drop off of like 2 inches, 1 inch, 2 inches, 3 inches sometimes, it doesn't affect you as much as well, which is quite cool. Like
yeah,
very
and
often
then you can get.
outside, you will notice, but for you, outside people won't notice your bad days as much as
Mhm.
you. They'll just think, oh yeah, it's a freak, you know. They won't notice that
Yeah,
3 inch
no, I
drop
know.
off, but you would notice it, yeah. Because you can still East Bay, you can still windmill, you can still behind the back, you can still J Rich or with the 45. You know?
Yeah. Well, forces you to have a good technique, right? Like that's what I
Exactly.
do on bad days. I'll be like, yo, if I can hit this list of dunks, that's a good sign.
Yeah, no, exactly. Exactly. Oh, another point to bring up is too, like just the whole expectation of vert fluctuating. It's really funny. Like we have a little story of when we were at dunk camp, right? Because obviously people like go a week. Some people like jump multiple days, like 3, 4 days in a week, right? And like I'm only used to jumping like twice in a week, right? And when I was at dunk camp, and I knew you did as well, Tom, like for the first time ever, I tried jumping back to back. So we jumped on Monday, and then we jumped on Thursday at dunk camp, right? So on Thursday we jumped really well. We jumped high. It was a long session. It was quite fatiguing, right? And then on the Friday we tried jumping again, and holy fuck, did that go terribly? Like, because we
I
had
think it was
like a
Wednesday,
2 hour session on Thursday. Okay?
I think it was Wednesday, Thursday we jumped.
Yeah. So to put it in perspective, no, we didn't. Yeah, it was Wednesday, Thursday. Sorry, yeah, Wednesday, Thursday. Yeah. So on the Wednesday we had like that 2 hour session was really good. So to put it in perspective, on that Wednesday session, I was like back rimming windmills off backboard. I back rimmed like an East Bay off dribble. You know, I was jumping pretty decent. You know, and then on the Thursday when I went to go jump, keep in mind, I was like back rimming windmills or backboard. Like I've hit them before. I'm just not consistent with the technique. And I was like back rimming knee space. On the Thursday, when I went to go jump, I was struggling to like even dunk. My legs were like that shot and dead. And the CNS was that gone. But I was actually like barely dunking. Like I might have hit one ring grazer. Like I'm not kidding. Like the next
It
day.
was really
Yeah. So like I hope that puts it into perspective for you guys. And Tom, like I saw you jumping, same thing. Like you probably still ring grazed the windmill, right?
I
But
made like one win. It's
your
like fuck this shit.
your vert at least dropped 5 inches, 100%. Like you were like
Oh,
2019 Duncan Tom.
yeah, I like
On
reverted back
Thursday.
5 years.
Hey?
I reverted back 5 years.
Yeah. And you were like 48. You on Wednesday, you were like 48 inch, Tom, right? On Wednesday. And then on
Yeah,
Thursday, you were like fucking 42 inch, Tom.
yeah, it's pretty bad.
Legit. Like it was bad, bro. That's like the worst I've ever seen you jump on Thursday.
Bro, I couldn't like you were trying hard to jump, but your legs just weren't cooperating.
Yeah,
You're
they were
seeing it.
just giving out. Just literally giving out and just weren't letting you produce any force at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's just not we're not just saying this shit. Like it happens in real time and yeah, dunk camp might be an extreme example because on Wednesday we like obliterated our bodies. So yeah, on
Yeah.
Thursday we're gonna be sore, but you know, this still happens
Swimming.
on a smaller scale. It's like day to day. You know, maybe you have a slightly harder leg day on a Thursday and then you go and jump on the Saturday or the Sunday, even if it's like one set extra, that can even play a role. You might lose an inch or two in your vertical.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
Don't
100%.
be discouraged. And to our JumpX guys, cherish your deloads because they don't come very often compared to how much you're training.
Yeah. That doesn't mean like guys don't jump higher, they jump higher. And then bad days
Bro,
become like good days. But
well,
it's just yeah.
I was just gonna say, shout out to GP, who is one of our recent addition to the Perth Dunk sessions. He hit us up about a month and a half ago, and during his hardest week of training, he actually got his first dunk. So sometimes the science doesn't even line up, to be honest. Sometimes you just have a good dunk session. You can be in the hardest week of your training. You can walk into the dunk session feeling sluggish, feeling like shit. All of a sudden, oh wow, I've just had my best day ever. And that's happened to me before. I don't know if that's happened to you.
Yeah. No, yeah, it's definitely happened to me. I just think it's because I thought about that a little bit. I think it's just because other qualities that contribute to my vertical jump were improving when other qualities were coming down a little bit, you know, due to fatigue.
Mhm.
So my tendons were like probably adapting more, getting a little bit more elastic and stuff like that, even though I was doing like a lot of strength work, fatiguing myself. So I think that's what's helped maintain. And also, like, there was a day where I just had a shit ton more caffeine than normal, which helped
Yeah,
a
that
lot on
always
that
helps.
day.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Wait,
like
camp?
some, hey,
Talking about dunk camp?
oh, that helped a little bit, but this was ages ago. Like, it wasn't a lot of
Okay.
caffeine, just more than like I'd normally be used to, which helped on that day, where I was like feeling extra fatigued. But sometimes that's not even the case. Sometimes, like, it doesn't matter how much caffeine you take. It sometimes you're so fatigued, it just doesn't even matter,
Hmm.
you know. So, but it can help mask fatigue a little bit too, caffeine as well. So, but yeah,
No, definitely.
but yeah, so that's cool. So, another thing as well, I want to touch on as well. If you're not genetically gifted at all, which I assume is most of you guys are listening to this podcast, um, if you stop training or you stop training a certain quality, your vert will drop. And if you do that for long enough, you will return to where you were, right? So if you want to maintain your athleticism and keep improving, you have to keep training and you have to be consistent. Otherwise, you'll just stay stagnant or go backwards, right? So, um, one example for me is I went a period where I wasn't sprinting enough, doing enough plyos, doing enough speed and elastic work. So I deconditioned to that a little bit, even though my strength was probably around the same, right? And my vert dropped. I wasn't not training, but I just wasn't not training a certain quality enough or certain qualities enough because of dunk camp and traveling and all that sort of stuff, right? So my vert dropped because of that, even though my strength level was the same. All right. Versus you, Tom, like
Yeah.
say you lost strength, you didn't strength train for a bit for long enough. I would say if you didn't strength train for um a couple of weeks, your vert would probably go up because of your CNS freshening up and your body adapting and stuff. But after that, as you start to decondition more and more and more, and you lose strength, you lose the amount of force you can produce. Your vert will drop too. You decondition to that, you know. So if you're not genetically gifted, you have to constantly be maintaining all these things and trying to improve on all these things. Otherwise, you're going to stay stagnant and move backwards as well. You
Bro,
know?
I actually have like a story with that.
Yeah, go on.
So obviously I didn't strength train really like the week leading up to dunk camp. So we hit dunk camp. I haven't strength trained in about 7 or 8 days. Obviously I jumped good at dunk camp. And then by the time we actually get back to Perth, like the travel or whatever, it's been about a week and a half, 2 weeks. So I've had time to freshen up. But I think I've started to hit that curve where I might lose strength. And that's maybe not just CNS, maybe that's just like because I didn't eat enough. I lost like a decent amount of weight. But that first dunk session back after I lifted, I felt so wired because like I had one squat session like under my belt, and I think even that just that one, my body like fucking sucked up all of that session and just absolutely loved it. And I jumped really well that first session back. Surprisingly, I don't know how. I felt like shit, but my body felt almost not my body, my CNS felt like wired up from that.
Potentiated.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. I remember, I was like deconditioned to certain things in that session, but I still jumped decent because I feel like I was way fresher than normal, you know?
Yeah.
Remember me saying to you, why does the rim look 9 foot?
Yeah. No shit. Well, it's because we
Yeah.
dunk on 9 foot.
No,
That's
yeah. No, but like seriously though, um, yeah, I was legit like the rim just looked low on that day, right? Like lower than normal, even though it's just a normal height, it always is, right? And from what I found, that's a good indicator of how you're feeling. So if the rim is looking really high on one day, even though you've measured it to be the same height as normal, that's probably a good indicator that you're actually pretty fatigued,
100%. 100%.
right? And then when the rim actually looks low and you know you deloaded and you feel fresh, that's probably a good indicator that you are feeling fresh as well.
Hmm. That's why you should measure
Yeah,
your rims,
that's just
guys,
something.
because you get
Okay.
that, that that's why you should measure rims because you get that
Yeah.
non-bias, statistics.
Yeah, that's just something I've noticed through training and like looking at the rim and just thinking about stuff as well. That's something to keep in mind as well. So, but it's weird. No,
Yeah,
it's just weird sometimes how the human body works as well. Sometimes it's pretty unpredictable. Like sometimes you might have your hardest week of training and then jump the best you ever had, and sometimes you might have the hardest week of training and jump the worst you ever had. Sometimes you might deload and not, jump higher. Then in the first week of training hard again, your vert goes up, you know? Or
yeah,
sometimes just
and that's
randomly midway through a cycle, your vert goes up, you know?
yeah, 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 and it's not because the science is incorrect in that fatigue equals lower jumps. Fatigue will always equal lower jumps, but it's just because there's so many factors that you don't even know like half these factors that are going into account that are going to determine how high you're going to jump. There's so many things that are happening behind the scenes that you can't even register in your body that's happening. Yeah, you can, monitor how much food you're eating. You can get a rough idea how much sleep you get, sleep quality, debatable depending on like what app you use or whatever device you use. But there's so many things like inside your actual internal body that you can't even pick up on, and that can determine if it's a 42-inch jump day or 45. And sometimes you just can't even control it, which is annoying, but it's the reality of this game, right?
Exactly. Exactly. And that's why you just kind of gotta embrace it all and enjoy the process and just focus on the process, not the outcomes, the goals. Obviously, you want to have goals, you want to have those outcomes in mind, but you just don't want to over focus and overemphasize on those things. Otherwise, you're going to get depressed and demotivated when things aren't going your way or going how you want them to be, or you're not performing well, you know?
Mm.
And that's a big secret behind staying consistent and, getting somewhere as well.
Just
But
keep turning up. That's your yeah.
exactly, exactly. Um, but yeah, all right, guys. So if you guys are looking for training and you're looking to jump higher, we have the $7 bodyweight program out, and that's perfect if you're a beginner and you're looking to jump higher. Right. We also have another program on the way coming out called the Bounce Revolution 1.0. That's in the works. Going to release that very, very soon. That's a fully flushed out 6-week program designed to get you jumping higher, designed to get you dunking as well. There's tutorial videos in there in terms of how to hit dunks, jump technique, and dunk technique as well as the program as well. So keep a lookout for that. We're going to be posting about that on our social media. All right. But without further ado, we'll catch you guys in the next JumpX podcast.
Which should be who is our winner of this month's most improved. So be excited, ladies and gentlemen. It's
Exactly. Exactly. All right. Peace out.